Ryousuke Kaga, an ordinary boy, but like any true man of culture, he has one goal in life: to admire as many beautiful women features as possible. However, his goal only gets further away after meeting Lisara, a demon Grim Reaper. Upon thinking he was finally going to get his once-in-a-lifetime dream, she crushes his heart, literally, resulting in him becoming reincarnated with binded souls. To add on to Ryou's misfortune, she tells him that he only has 3 months to live, but promises to save him if he helps her complete her mission of finding the strongest hero. Now, as powerful demons appear, along with some hotties on the way, Ryousuke and Lisara set out on their journey to find the chosen one. A lonely boy, Ryousuke, is talking to his mom on a video call. While getting ready for school, he asks her for some money but refuses due to her German colleagues declining to fund her research, so she has to use her own savings. She tells him that maybe he could get a job and hangs up to go back to work. Soon after, a girl yells at him to get ready from another room. At the station, Ryou can't stop staring at Mina's noticeably large fruits. He recalls how they were already D cups in middle school and seem to have grown even more. He guesses they must be F cups now. Mina interrupts, revealing she already upgraded last semester. Embarrassed, Ryou realizes he was thinking out loud. Meanwhile, a mysterious woman appears outside, stepping out of a green bubble, looking confused as if this is Ben 10. In the locker room, drenched girls from the rain draw Ryou's attention. He tells them to be careful or they might catch a cold while secretly sneaking a peek at their talents. They feel violated and run away, as you see. Ryou has a reputation as the king of being weird like yourself.
What more do you want from me?
While Ryou basks in his popularity, Tamano shows up, mocking him for being shameless and calling his behavior infectious. He asks Mina to come with him, but she hides behind Ryou. Ryou confronts Tamano, accusing him of hiding his own desires behind a tough guy attitude while secretly fantasizing about Mina's calcium cannons. Tamano, embarrassed, storms off. After school, Ryou feels down, sad that nothing gave his pocket a rise today. Mina points out he's thinking out loud again. Saying goodbye, Ryou walks home in the rain when he spots a red-haired baddie with a slim waist. Admiring her beauty and her pom-poms, he snaps out of it and offers her his umbrella. He invites her inside to change into dry clothes, explaining that while he might be a perv, he's sworn to be chivalrous because he deeply respects women as a gift from God. Inside, Ryou hands her warm clothes. Before he can introduce himself, she reveals she already knows everything about him. Confused, Ryou asks how she knows this, but the woman says she's been looking for him. She grabs his hand, and suddenly, a green space appears around them. Checking her watch, which reads 15,000, she sighs, saying Ryou's energy is weak but will have to do it for now. She leans in, asking if she can take his heart. Flustered, Ryou blushes, thinking he can't possibly refuse such a gorgeous woman with his ugly face. And just then, she literally stabs him right in the heart like your ex. Later, Lisara steps out of the shower and finds Ryou unconscious and tries to wake him. In his dazed state, Ryou grabs her leg unconsciously and gets a full view of her red fields in the bottom eye. Furious, Lisara kicks him and starts beating him up. But Ryou seems to enjoy it. Annoyed, she demands an apology and he grabs her hand to apologize. Suddenly, a blue portal emerges from his chest and vanishes inside him. Startled, Lisara wonders how Ryou recovered so quickly and what's going on. Grabbing him by the collar, she begins questioning him, though Ryou is just as confused. Lisara sits on the sofa and makes Ryou sit on the floor like a servant. She says it's only right for him to kneel since she's from a noble family in Grimwald. Ryou has no idea what Grimwald is, so Lisara explains that all living things have energy that keeps their souls connected to their bodies. When people are dying, they don't need that energy anymore, so it's collected. Grimwald, she adds, is her world, kind of like a society of reapers. Ryou laughs, thinking she's crazy, but Lisara assures him it's true and says she's an important person there, even if it sounds like a cliche. Ryou mutters that she's beautiful but probably a bit crazy. Lisara gets annoyed, and Ryou tries to calm her down, saying it's amazing that such a stunning woman came to claim his life. Lisara shuts him down, saying he's nothing special and only survived because she stabbed him with a broken sword that affects the spirit, not the body. She explains that this created a temporary contract between them. When Ryou asks what kind of contract, Lisara tells him their spirits are now temporarily connected. Ryou jokes that she probably did it because she wants to pole jump with him. but Lisara shows her power to put him in his place. She explains that Grimwald citizens expend energy to maintain their existence, and she used his energy to recover hers. She calls it an honor for him to be linked to her, but Ryou sees it as an opportunity to admire her more closely. Annoyed, she squeezes him in anger. Before she can erase his memories, a strange shape appears on the window. Realizing someone is following her, Lisara summons magic to fight a blue octopus-like monster. She orders Ryou to stay in the corner. The monster overpowers her, and Ryou worries more about his house being destroyed than the fight, knowing his mom hasn't fully paid the mortgage and the real monster is the economy. As Lisara struggles, her might talents are fully exposed. Ryou impulsively grabs her milk gallons. She is creeped out, but to her shock, this replenishes her energy, allowing her to defeat the monster. After it's over, Ryou announces that eroticism must be his power source. The more weird he is, the stronger his energy becomes. Though Lisara finds it absurd, she admits he might be onto something. However, she warns him not to get any ideas, as she's here to find a true hero, a 1 in 10 million individual who can change history and possesses energy equivalent to tens of thousands of people. Although Ryou knows he's not that person. Lisara confirms, saying she's only using him as a temporary energy source. Ryou thinks it's unfair since he's getting nothing out of this. Lisara disagrees, saying that's not true. She explains that, as a Grim Reaper, she can tell when someone is about to die, and Ryou's life is on the line. She adds that he only has 3 months left to live. Ryou is left stunned, not knowing what to do next. As Lisara informs Ryou about his death, she explains that she can save his life if he follows her instructions. Once she finds the one she is searching for, she will use his powers to grant Ryou a new life. Like a desperate dog, Ryou begs her to save him, but Lisara says it depends on how he behaves. Ryou still doubts that Lisara is a Grim Reaper, but a notification suddenly appears on her screen, announcing the death of a famous panda named Zunzum. Ryou checks the screen and cannot believe his eyes. Finally, he accepts that she is telling the truth. Suddenly, Lisara faints from exhaustion. Ryou catches her to prevent her from falling. She asks to rest in his arms for a while. He feels the warmth of her skin and the scent of her sweat, which gives a boost to his dagger. Ryou suddenly feels re-energized. Later, Lisara wakes up and uses her magic to repair Ryou's house, making it even better than before. Ryou feels happy and tries to ask her more questions, but Lisara says she is done for the day and shuts the door in his ugly face. Inside her room, Lisara feels curious. Normally, people take time to recover after supplying her with energy, but Ryou is different. She wonders what makes him special. The next morning, Ryou wakes up from a wet dream feeling refreshed. However, he notices that his cucumber is still asleep and wonders why his kingdom has fallen. As he gets ready for school, he feels shocked to see Lisara sitting on his sofa in a school uniform. Ryou recognizes the uniform, and Lisara explains that she is transferring to his school to continue her search for the one. She also reveals that she took some of his energy while he was asleep, which angers Ryou. Lisara dismisses his concern, saying his energy will recover in 2 or 3 days. Ryou feels upset about losing his kingdom glory. When Ryou leaves for school, he finds Mina waiting outside to accompany him, and she is surprised to see Lisara with him. Ryou introduces them, and they shake hands. Lisara senses Mina's energy, which is an impressive 1.5 million. But it is still not enough for her to be the one. At school, Lisara begins her mission to find the one. She introduces herself to everyone and senses their energy levels, but they all seem average. Mina notices how everyone admires Lisara and cannot believe Ryou has such a hot relative. Ryou agrees that he is amazed too. Then, Tamano makes a dramatic entrance and declares himself the most popular guy in the academy, Tamano Hikaru from class 3A. While everyone assumes it's over for Lisara, Ryou prepares to defend her but stops when Lisara lands a powerful punch on Tamano. She warns him to keep his hands to himself, making Tamano cry like an emo twink. Furious, Tamano threatens to report her to his father, who is the head of the PTA. Later, during break, Mina worries about Lisara because of Tamano's vengeful personality. Mina sees her on the stairs. She tries to approach Lisara but is shocked when Lisara vanishes into thin air. Lisara reappears on the rooftop, where she reminisces about a memory of having tea with Quell. In the memory, Quell reveals that she has tracked the one to the school using a reliable source. Despite their family's differences, Quell helps Lisara and gives her a necklace for good luck. As school ends, Mina asks Ryou to join her for grocery shopping, but he declines, saying he has something important to do. Feeling disappointed, Mina walks home alone, looking back at the classroom where Ryou and Lisara are talking about finding the one. Lisara explains to Ryou that 3 months ago, she tracked the one to this school. She tasks Ryou with helping her find him. Ryou, still unsure of why the One is so important, Lisara explains that the House of Ristal has supported Grimwald's royal families for generations. To continue doing so, they need someone powerful. She adds that they must find the One before another intruder, like the blue monster, disrupts the balance, as there are countless feuds between the houses in her world. Ryou begins his task, introducing Lisara to a series of losers. The first is a man whose power is eating noodles while standing upside down, but his energy is too weak. Another plays an instrument with his nose, while one has never changed his underwear for health reasons. Frustrated by the lack of suitable options, Lisara asks Ryou if he knows anyone better, but he only seems to know talentless losers like himself. Exhausted and irritated, Lisara realizes finding the One won't be easy. Ryou apologizes, but she's too fed up to respond. Suddenly, Quell appears through a portal and greets Lisara, calling her sister. Ryou is surprised, but Lisara clarifies that Quell is a distant relative. Quell announces that she has found the One who happens to be Tamano Hikaru. Lisara and Ryou are shocked when they hear this. Quell asks Lisara if she knows Tamano, and Lisara says she does, but she hasn't checked his energy yet. She still can't believe that Tamano, who is so full of himself, could be the One. Quell tells her that sometimes personalities and energy don't match, and the only way to know for sure is for Lisara to shake Tamano's hand. Lisara doesn't seem convinced, but Ryou is worried about how unbearable Tamano will be if he is the One. Two more monsters suddenly appear, seemingly following Quell. She quickly attacks them with her sword and tells Lisara to leave, so she can deal with them. After they leave, Quell starts patting the monsters, revealing that they were just part of her plan. Meanwhile, Lisara heads to the school boxing arena to find Tamano. Quell watches them from outside, quietly reminding herself that Tamano should follow her instructions. She already struck some kind of deal with him. However, Tamano was too distracted, staring at Quell's pom-poms, to pay attention to her. She reassured him that all he needs to do is shake Lisara's hand to get back at her for the humiliation. Lisara approaches Tamano, who demands an apology on her knees before shaking hands. Ryou steps in, mocking Tamano, and tries to leave with Lisara. Tamano stops them, but Quell intervenes, forcing their handshake. Lisara senses his energy and realizes Tamano isn't the One. While holding hands with Tamano, Lisara gets caught in a magic spell cast by Quell. Chains appear, pulling Lisara into the air. Tamano is clueless, and Quell uses magic to make him fall asleep. Seeing Lisara floating, Ryou grabs her legs to pull her down, but the chains pull him up too. Ryou climbs onto Lisara and breaks the chain barrier. Lisara immediately prepares to fight Quell. Lisara and Quell activate Disrad, a spell that creates a magical aura like Sailor Moon, transforming their armor. The black magic makes them look slimmer. Ryou, distracted by the mommy, would love to be punished in the name of the moon. His hanging Johnny gets more excited by Quell's revealing dress. Lisara demands to know why Quell is plotting against her. Quell reveals that by sealing Lisara, she hopes to bring down the House of Ristal and position herself as the sole supporter of the royal family. She also plans to take the One from the school. Quell attacks Lisara with Kelnoon swords, but Lisara counters with a Staltsud, breaking the attack. Quell quickly closes the distance and attacks Lisara from behind, forcing her sword to the ground. Grabbing Lisara by the neck, Quell drains her energy, causing Lisara's dress to rip, exposing her holy talents. Quell throws her to the ground, and Lisara, weakened, wishes she had more power. Quell moves in for the final blow, but Ryou stops them by grabbing both of their calcium cannons. Quell, startled, move away. Ryou offers Lisara his energy, explaining that his kingdom has been restored thanks to the grab. Ryou offers his hand to Lisara and urges her to finish the fight. Quell draws her sword, but Lisara is now fully powered. But Quell wonders if his energy came from what she was thinking, and Ryou said it came from eroticism. As Lisara takes his energy, Ryou faints from exhaustion, while Lisara tells Quell to bring it on. Lisara overpowers Quell with 2 attacks and breaks the necklace Quell gave her and creates massive destruction. After the fight, Ryou wakes up and asks about Quell. Lisara tells him she escaped but doubts she made it out of the skinnier. They quickly wrap up and head home. At home, Mina confronts Ryou and Lisara about their secrets. They explain everything, and Mina surprisingly believes them, as she saw Lisara earlier on the stairs disappearing. During dinner, Lisara assures Mina that her relationship with Ryou is purely professional. Despite the chaos, Ryou enjoys the idea that his energy powers Lisara, comparing it to fuel for a car. Lisara tells him to eat quietly, ending the day in peace. At school, Mina and Lisara are chatting during class. Mina, fascinated by everything, asks if people with great power usually have unique abilities. She mentions that her school has a group of 8 students with extraordinary skills, calling themselves the Extraordinary 8. Lisara feels hopeful, thinking it will be easier to find the one since there are only 8 of them. They decide to leave class to meet the group. In a screening room, a person introduces a few girls by their chest measurements: 81 centimeters, 85 centimeters, 88 centimeters, and another 85 centimeters. Mina confirms the details are accurate. She introduces the speaker as Meshiori Munio, one of the Extraordinary 8. Munio's unique skill is identifying girls by their breast sizes. Lisara finds this ridiculous but still tries to shake Munio's hand. Munio refuses, saying she doesn't bother with women with small balloons.
バスト80以下の女性と握手する手は持ち合わせていない。
Munio shows Lisara a clip of her idol, a female celebrity named Iria, who she considers the perfect woman. Ryou, a fan of Iria as well, starts arguing with Munio about Iria's actual bust size, which Munio confidently claims is 92 centimeters. Munio challenges Ryou to see Iria in person at a signing event the next day at Merlot Life Security headquarters. Ryou, excited, strikes a deal that if Iria's measurements are off even slightly, Munio has to shake Lisara's hand. Munio agrees, and Lisara is annoyed that shaking her hand is treated like a punishment. That night, Ryou can hardly contain his excitement about meeting Iria. Lisara, tired of his nonsense, goes to her room. Meanwhile, at Mina's house, her parents introduce a foreign exchange student, Quell, who will be staying with them. Quell uses a spell to compel Mina to accept her, making her parents believe she's just a regular student. Curious, Quell asks Mina about her relationship with Ryou. Mina describes Ryou as straightforward and kind, mentioning they've been neighbors for a long time. The next morning, Ryou is full of energy, eager to meet Iria. Lisara, surprised, notes that he's unusually lively even after she drained energy from him the night before. Ryou explains that perv power and love power are completely different things. Mina waves at them from afar. She arrives with Quell, shocking Lisara. Quell reveals she'll be living with Mina and attending their school. Ryou accuses Quell of using Mina, but Mina defends her, explaining that she formed a contract with Quell and is aware of the energy sharing arrangement. Mina says she couldn't refuse someone in need. Ryousuke says she doesn't mind as long as she knows her limits. Later, on the school rooftop, Lisara confronts Quell, accusing her of arranging the attack when Lisara first came to the human world. Quell denies it. When she asks about her source, she says she got information that came from Merlot Life Security. Lisara considers this genuine, but wonders why Merlot would do such a thing. After school, they head to the event where Iria is meeting her fans. Munio is excited, calling it the moment of truth. When Ryou's turn comes, he eagerly approaches for an autograph, thinking this is the perfect moment to revive his third leg. However, Iria senses his energy level and is disappointed as it is lower than her ex's. Next, it's Munio's turn. She closely examines Iria and admits to Ryou that she was wrong. Her talents aren't 92 centimeters, but 92.5 centimeters. Iria senses Munio's energy and finally discovers what she's been searching for. Excited, she firmly shakes Munio's hand, leaving Ryou jealous of the special treatment. Lisara interrupts, immediately exposing Iria's true intentions. She accuses Iria of recruiting high-energy individuals from Merlot. Iria doesn't deny it. When Lisara asks what Iria sensed from Munio, Iria reveals that Munio's energy level exceeds 100,000, enough to form a provisional contract to drain her energy. However, Iria refuses to take Munio because the market already has its eyes on her. Lisara mocks Iria, finding it amusing that Merlot, a company claiming to have critical information, relies on someone like Iria, who seems like nothing more than a sideshow attraction. Iria acts clueless at first but is visibly offended by Lisara's condescending attitude. Her anger boils over and she lashes out. A storm begins to brew, causing the audience to flee in panic. With her rage fully unleashed, Iria summons a Skinner. Iria claims she's only settling the score for what happened at Grimwald. She uses her magic, Disrad, to transform into her armor. Ryou, still confused, doesn't grasp the situation. Quell explains that Iria and Lisara were once rivals at school, competing for the top spot. Lisara always came first, leaving Iria stuck in second place. Hearing this, Ryou feels crushed to learn that his favorite idol is also a Grim Reaper. Lisara reveals that Iria's inability to accept defeat led her to join Merlot after graduation, pretending to be an idol to expand her influence and gain market share. Mina realizes that Merlot Security is working for Grimwald, which aims to secure a steady supply of energy by exploiting humans. While the royal family had approved Merlot's operations, hunting for a high-energy individual goes beyond their assigned duties. Lisara mocks Iria, saying she doubts someone as worthless as her could know anything important. Iria, furious, says that she doesn't care about the royal family. She worked hard to get into Grimwald Academy but always felt overshadowed by Lisara. Joining Merlot gave her access to a special weapon called Flotty, which she plans to use to cut Lisara down. Lisara fires back, saying only second-rate people rely on underhanded tactics like hers. Iria taunts Lisara, claiming there's one area where she will always outshine her. Lisara attacks, but Iria easily overpowers her, with her exaggerated assets jiggling with every move. Ryou, predictably, gets a nosebleed from the sight. Quell suggests Lisara use her you-know-what to restore Ryou's energy so they can defeat Flotty, but Lisara refuses, doubting it would work. Iria quickly realizes how Lisara has been surviving in the human world. She's been using Ryou's Ero energy as her power source. Confident in her advantage, Iria teases Lisara, claiming the only thing she surpasses her in is her napalm-sized bombs. She then tries to seduce Ryou into forming a contract with her. Ryou, acting like a puppy, is tempted by her charms. Iria sees Ryou as a forbidden fruit since he belongs to Lisara, making her desire him even more. Enraged, Lisara fires an attack, but Iria easily counters and sends her crashing to the ground. Ryou, watching Lisara struggle, attempts to summon his explosive Ero energy, but Lisara's pride prevents her from accepting it. Iria unleashes another attack with Flotty, further injuring Lisara. Everyone wonders why Lisara seems so defeated. Mina guesses it's because Lisara's connection with Ryou is faltering, as he was tempted by another woman. Iria, now maniacal, prepares to deliver the final blow. At the last second, Ryou leaps in to shield Lisara. He declares that while men may be drawn to the size of balloons, what truly matters is recognizing that every woman has her own unique gift. This weird cringe speech snaps Lisara out of her despair. Ryou encourages her, saying she can't let someone like Iria defeat her, especially when she's chasing a much greater purpose. With renewed determination, Lisara accepts Ryou's energy and unleashes a powerful attack, creating a massive explosion that defeats Iria. Meanwhile, a mysterious man watches the fight from the sky and is amused by the immense energy being used. The day begins with Iria preparing for school in her lavish apartment. She has joined Ryou's school and tries on her uniform, which feels uncomfortably short for her curvy figure. Meanwhile, Ryou is mesmerized by a thing featuring Iria. Lisara interrupts, surprised that he's still obsessing over Iria despite knowing the truth about her. Ryou admits he was initially shocked but defends his admiration, as hot women are allowed to be crazy. Ryou apologizes to Lisara that she might feel offended when he mentions Iria's mighty talents, since she doesn't have them. Lisara, angered by his words, swiftly beats him up to teach him a lesson. Outside, Mina and Quell are waiting for them to head to school together. During the break, Iria becomes the center of attention, charming the boys and even promising them signed copies of her ad. Lisara, irritated, notices Ryou in the line of admirers. She glares at him, making him nervous. She asks to have a moment with Iria. On the rooftop, Iria mocks Lisara, calling her flatter than a disc and saying frowning will only make her look worse. Lisara snaps back, accusing Iria of testing people's energy during the break. Iria does not deny it and says she's here to find the one. Lisara is shocked that Iria knows about it too. Iria admits she learned it from the company. Lisara asks if Merlot is also looking for the one, and Iria says yes, but she doesn't care about the goal. She just wants to beat Lisara. The two argue. Quell secretly watches, wishing she had popcorn, thinking Lisara is silly for letting Iria get to her. Iria continues to taunt Lisara, saying she has access to the company's resources and can use as much energy as she wants. Ryou suddenly interrupts, saying girls shouldn't fight. Lisara agrees reluctantly and storms off, which makes Iria angry. Iria tries to attack, but Ryou stops her, telling her to freeze. Iria notices his strong Ero energy and tries to seduce him. As Lisara walks away, she asks Ryou for a school tour. Iria grabs his hand and asks him whether he likes smaller balloons like Lisara's than her big meat. Ryou disagrees, and Iria, to get him excited, asks him to show her around. Lisara glares at Ryou but tells him to go, saying she doesn't need him to find the one. Iria then asks Ryou to take her somewhere private. Elsewhere, Lisara investigates the legend of the extraordinary 8 at the school. She learns that one of these remarkable individuals is in the second year and is rumored to possess unparalleled talent, earning the title of Emperor. She hears from a girl that he is often seen in the library during break. She rushes to the library to track him down. On the rooftop, Quell wonders how someone as plain as Ryou could be special. She finds it hard to believe. Meanwhile, Iria takes Ryou to the girls' changing room. Overwhelmed by the thought of girls changing their daily, he loses himself in the moment. Iria snaps him out of it, teasing him about his eagerness. Using magic, she summons some clothes and starts changing slowly to awaken his rotating wheel. Ryou, in awe, kneels and thanks her for the honor. Lisara, on her way to the library to find the Emperor of the Extraordinary Eight, senses dark energy surrounding the school. Back in the changing room, Iria tries to awaken Ryou's full potential since his energy increases when she places his hand between her soft cushions, hoping to unlock his Iro energy. On the rooftop, Mina looks for Ryou. Quell tells her he's with Iria in the changing room. Lisara arrives, tracking the dark energy. She activates her armor and warns Mina to stay back. A monster emerges from the energy and Lisara summons her weapon, instructing Quell to stay alert. In the changing room, Iria asks Ryou to form a contract, but he refuses. She seduces him further, causing him to lose focus. She explains that she can remove the sword inside him. The sword glam, inside his heart, is a treasure from the Exagod, split in two between the Ristal clan and the Galdablog's clan. Ryou holds the Ristal half, while the other half is missing. On the rooftop, Lisara and Quell fight the monster. Lisara wishes she had some energy, but Lisara grows angry remembering Ryou fawning over Iria. As they fight, someone observes the battle from a witch's orb. Mina interrupts the changing room to tell Ryou Lisara is in trouble. He rushes to the rooftop. Just as the monster is about to eat Lisara, Ryou arrives and offers his energy. Lisara hesitates, refusing to use the energy that Iria stirred up, but laughs inside when she realizes how the energy is smaller than you know what. Iria, now watching the fight, recognizes the monster. It's one her company developed. Annoyed that they interfered with her plans, Quell wonders why they made a move on their own. The monster lands another attack, exposing Lisara's calcium canoons. Ryou's kingdom rises immediately. Embarrassed, Lisara yells at him to stop looking, but he takes her hand, and together they generate an even bigger surge of energy. Pulling her close to his rotating hip, he unlocks his full power and passes out from exhaustion after giving her everything he's got. Empowered by the boost, Lisara finishes the monster off with a powerful Kalnoon Prattle attack. Ryou wakes up on top of Iria. Her cushions have reduced to the size of an apple.
もしかしてリサラよりもない?
Lisara reveals Iria used illusion magic to enhance her figure. Devastated, Iria cries, but Ryou reassures her that what matters is the real her. Embarrassed, she runs away. Lisara remembers she still needs to meet the Emperor of the Extraordinary Eight, so she and Ryou head to the library. When they arrive, a group of guys greets Ryou. To everyone's shock, he's revealed to be the leader of the club. The group, however, is as weird and creepy as their reputation suggests. Lisara is dumbfounded. Mina casually mentions that Ryou was chosen as the leader simply because he's the biggest pervert in school. With 6 members of the club left to investigate, Lisara wonders if there's any hope for her mission at all. Now Galdarblog vows to correct the world, restoring it to its true form. He swears to eliminate those who oppose him. At home, Lisara tells Ryou about Graham. Confused, he asks if it's the sword she stabbed him with. She clarifies that she used a broken half of Graham, passed down to the Ristal family by the god of war. In Grimwold, one family protects the male lineage, the other the female, each holding half of Graham. The Ristal family guards the female side, while the Galdarblog family protects the male. Together, they maintain Grimwold's balance. Ryou recalls that no one knows where Galdarblog's half is. Shocked, Lisara asks how he knows. He reveals Iria already told him. Smirking, Lisara listens as Iria explains she spilled everything in the girls' locker room. Annoyed, Lisara questions Iria's presence. Iria returns from a trip, bringing souvenirs for everyone. She asks for an update on Ryou. After hearing the story, she is stunned that someone as dull as him possessed Graham. She suspects Lisara knew and formed a contract on purpose, but Lisara denies it, saying she had no way of knowing Graham was inside Ryou. Still confused, Ryou listens as Mina suggests calling someone who might explain. They call his mother in Germany. His mother, working on her computer, answers. Quell hijacks the screen to greet her, mistaking her for Ryou's girlfriend. Iria introduces herself, prompting Lisara to do the same. Lisara apologizes for the late call. Pleased with Ryou's popularity, his mother asks him about his romantic interests. Blushing, Ryou hesitates. Iria claims he's into her, though Ryou insists he is just a fan. His mother compliments Iria's pom-poms. Iria cheekily adds that Ryou admires their softness. Quell chimes in, mentioning he's also felt her pom-poms. Embarrassed, Ryou protests, but Lisara tells them to cut it out and reminds them he has seen more of her than just her front engine.
私なんてもっと といろいろ見られてるんだからね。
Ryou and the others explain everything to his mother. She understands what is happening. Ryou apologizes for keeping it from her. His mother remembers how she once fell in love, just like him, with Ryou's father, although she says she never told him much about him. Ryou only knows that his father was always overseas and died when he was 3, but his mother decides it is time to tell the truth. She met his father in college, and on one rainy day, she saw him standing alone without an umbrella, looking empty inside. She tried talking to him, but he barely spoke and didn't remember his name or where he came from. She couldn't leave him like that, so she took him to her place. He was really good looking and just her type. At the time, she was frustrated with her research, and one thing led to another, and they ended up together. After they started living together, they fell in love. Since he had no name, she gave him one. Ryou says he inherited his father's name. But then, his mother reveals something shocking. His father is not dead. She made up the whole story.
死んだってのは嘘だから。
は？
Ryou feels slow because he spread his father's ashes at sea, following a fake will. Angry, Ryou demands to know about his father. His mother says she doesn't know where he is. One day, she thought he was just feeling down, but he suddenly hugged her warmly and then stabbed her in the chest with a sword. He whispered something to her. She later woke up in bed with no wound, so she thought it was a dream. His mother revealed that he told her he had to settle things and entrusted the sword to his son. After that, he disappeared. She never tried to find him because he gains new respect for her. She then says she might be able to visit him by the end of the year. Later, in the lounge, Lisara notes this feels like fate. Ryou agrees, realizing he received Gram in the womb. When he formed a contract with Lisara, the sword became whole. He wonders about his father, suspecting he came from Grimwald. Lisara worries the sword might be awakened. Lisara recalls a legend stating Gram unites when Grimwald faces great danger, wielding divine power to vanquish evil. Rather than worrying, Ryou excitedly compares himself to a manga protagonist. Delighted, he declares his hero power has always been the power of justice. In the bath, Mina doubts Ryou could be the world's hero. Quell, however, argues that with Gram awakened, finding someone with great power is less urgent. She fantasizes about what unholy things he must be doing to activate hero energy with Lisara to strengthen the sword, but realizes she must win Ryou's heart. Begs Mina to help her. At night, Lisara gazes at the moon, lost in thought. Iria notices her gloomy face and suggests she's shocked her contract partner turned out to be Gram's wielder. She's impressed Ryou had such potential and even considers stealing him from Lisara. However, Lisara reveals Ryou has only 2 months left to live, something she knew from the start. Quell, being inexperienced, hasn't realized yet. Iria asks if she truly cares about Ryou's fate. Lisara dismisses it, insisting humans die eventually and she will find someone powerful enough to save him. To her, it's just an exchange. In Merlot, Iria prepares for an event. She asks her manager about finding a powerful individual, noting reports of one at Mamazono Academy. Her manager questions her sudden interest, but Iria plays it off as curiosity. She recalls Lisara's worried expression and realizes she no longer sees her as ruthless, making victory feel hollow. As Iria heads to another venue, she grows distracted. Her manager, sensing exhaustion, reminds her that as a rising star, she must work harder. Curious, Iria inquires whether Merlot had ties to the assassins targeting Lisara. Her manager denies involvement, yet Iria wonders how Merlot remains uninvolved when the monsters originated there. Meanwhile, Galdarblog confirms Gram is in the human world, explaining why he never found it. He sends another monster after Lisara. She transforms using Disrad, while Quell, determined to win Ryou's heart, steps up. She impressively slashes the monster, but while basking in Ryou's reaction, she gets ambushed. Injured, she receives Mina's energy to recover. Lisara struggles against the enemy, which drains energy. The monster lands a sneaky hit, exposing her. Seeing Lisara, Ryou executes a move, the Invisible Dictionary. He chants absurdly about baths and desire, recalling Lisara's wet cannons to recharge his energy. Empowered, he transfers his energy to Lisara before collapsing. Quell observes how far he pushes himself for her. Lisara warns him not to overdo it, but Ryou insists he must, valuing women as treasures. He owes his power to Lisara and intends to use it for protection. She assumes he seeks to prolong his life, yet he appears to have forgotten that goal entirely. Realizing he fights purely for her, Lisara tears up. As a tear lands on his chest, an unknown energy awakens, lifting him into the sky. Declaring he won't let anyone harm Lisara, he confronts the monster. Galdarblog recognizes Lisara as the key to Gram's awakening, deciding not to underestimate her. Though they defeat the monster, Lisara warns Ryou not to get arrogant. Quell, disappointed, vows to win Ryou's heart next time. Suddenly, Galdarblog appears and grabs Mina. Ryou demands he let her go, but Lisara tells him not to act recklessly. Galdarblog opens a portal and tells them to come if they want Mina back. He vanishes with her. Ryou does not know what Galdarblog is, but he knows one thing, that he must go to Grimwald and defeat him. Mina narrates to Quell that one day, on her way to school, a dog started barking at her, and the dog pulled so hard on its leash that she thought it would break. Mina continues that she was scared to the extent that she was not even able to move. But then, like some hero, Ryou appeared and saved the day. Mina's eyes glisten as she continues informing Quell that even though Ryou was sick that day, he made sure that Mina was okay. As soon as Mina's story ends, she finds herself back from the other dimension into her room and falls back on her bed. Quell thanks Mina for the meal and admires her for being able to produce so much energy simply by telling a story, remarking that it shows how much she loves Ryou. Mina, in return, points out that even Quell has feelings for Ryou, but she is too shy to admit it. Walking down the quiet road, Quell scoffs, recalling Mina's claim that Quell likes Ryou. Right then, she feels a weird energy and Quell pulls out her glasses to get a better look to notice Ryou and Lisara battling a huge creature. Ryou screams at Lisara to attack. Without wasting a second, Lisara blows the creature away. Ryou runs towards Lisara, noticing a trail of ketchup going down her leg. Quell watches as Ryou reassures and embarrasses Lisara, vowing to work hard and prepare for anything to support her mission. The next day, at school, Quell and Mina watch Ryou working hard in the library. Ryou, surrounded by the books, tries to go through everything, working to increase his energy levels by memorizing all the words in the dictionary to improve his imagination. Quell and Mina stalk him throughout the day, watching him read book after book to keep his imagination creative. The next morning, Lisara finds the perverted loner boy, Ryou, busy in the library working on his energy levels. She leaves Ryou at that and sets off to find Ranbashi. Ranbashi praises Lisara for being able to find her. Ranbashi looks at Lisara and informs her that, despite her being 30,
みそじ間近でこの幼い見た目今でも子供料金でどうされかける
her childlike appearance lets her easily order from the kids' menu. Weird flex, but okay. Ranbashi continues that she is the one who is widely known as immortal. Lisara shakes Ranbashi's hands to see if she is the chosen one, but once again takes an L. Later, Lisara makes her way back to Ryou's place and once again finds him engrossed in his reading. She tries to shake him up but fails. She tells him that instead of sitting and sulking he could at least help her out, but then she remarks that it still would not have made a difference. Lisara continues that she should have realized that something fishy was going on when she found out that Ryou used to be a part of Extraordinary 8. When Ryou fails to respond to Lisara's yapping, she snaps at him to pay attention to her as she has a mission to accomplish and has not much time left. Ryou comes back to his senses, but before he can respond, Lisara runs away from the house. Ryou follows her like a lost puppy, trying to gain her trust again so that he can gain access inside her pants. As Ryou is running after Lisara, he feels the place where Lisara hid the royal treasure glowing brightly. Realizing that Lisara might be in trouble, Ryou makes a run searching for her with Mina and Quell hot on his heels. As he reaches the park, Ryou finds Lisara captured by a huge creature and her small cherries exposed. Ryou tries to divert the monster's attention away from Lisara and makes a run in the opposite direction, prompting the monster to run after him. Ryou then makes a turn and runs towards Lisara and shouts at her to use his energy to fight the monster. Lisara holds Ryou's hands and regains her energy. Ryou tells her that tonight is the night when his hard work will pay off and he will make sure that Lisara won't call him a weak kid anymore. The monster attacks them, but Lisara blocks. She loses her energy again, but Ryou, using his imagination, helps her regain the energy. Lisara then lands a severe blow at the monster, but the monster comes out unharmed. Lisara realizes that the monster's water element is clashing with her fire element, which is why she needs to target the head. As she targets the monster's head, the monster manages to grab both Lisara and Ryou. Lisara turns to look at Ryou and finds him struggling against the monster's grip. Her eyes fill up with tears, but then she hears Ryou murmuring and realizes that Ryou is trying to regain his strength. Ryou, on the other hand, focuses his attention and thinks to himself that he will be the man who will protect Lisara and ultimately clap her cheek. With that, the royal treasure inside his chest glows a deeper shade of blue, and using his hand, Ryou takes out the sword from his chest and attacks the monster, uninstalling it from life. Lisara opens her eyes and finds herself falling next to Ryou. She watches as Ryou moves his head in her direction, realizing that she has no plot armor. Lisara blushes and brings her arms over her chest to hide her plots. Ryou then wakes up surrounded by all three of the girls, Lisara, Quell, and Mina. He finds all three of them fighting over who Ryou belongs to as if he is rented from a local brothel. Ryou, Quell, and Lisara float through another dimension, working their way to save Mina. Quell points out that Ryu's energy will be drained pretty quickly as the dimensional currents are unstable on the back roads. Ryu turns his head in Quell's direction and questions her back road theory. He reminds her that the higher-ups told them to come up to them. Ryu tells her that they should just go through the dimension from the front. Lisara jumps in and calls Ryu an idiot for thinking that they can just jump straight in front of Galdablog House's head. She adds that they are supposed to act cautiously or else they will have no chance of saving Mina. Right then Quell points forward and exclaims that they have arrived. Ryu fixes his eyes ahead and almost gets blinded by the sudden brightness. He opens his eyes and finds himself accelerating down. He looks around and asks Lisara if this pace is Grimwald. Lisara points out a tower called Tour's Solo and remarks that the tower controls everything in the Grimwald world. Ryu looks at the tower mesmerized and exclaims that it looks like a castle. Quell chimes in and informs Ryu that all the energy they collect from the humans is stored inside Tour's Solo. Lisara adds that the soul energy that is collected is transformed into Grimwaldian energy, which is then used to fuel the Grimwald world's sun. Quell continues, stating that in the middle of the Tour's Solo, there is a gate that connects the Grimwald world to the human world. She adds that the Grimwalds travel through that gate when the humans they are in charge of are about to get uninstalled from the human world. She continues that Grimwalds collect the energy needed from the human world and then travel back to Grimwald world through the gate. Lisara points out that the gate was created to close the rift between the human world and the Grimwald world and to make sure that the rift does not get wider. Lisara continues that for generations, the female line, the Restall family, managed the Grim Reapers who traveled through the gate as well as the gate itself, but then they were overtaken by the Galdablog family that started a rebellion against the royal family and the Restall family. She informs Ryu that now Galdablog is holed up in the Tour's Solo. As they are about to hit the ground, Lisara uses her energy to cushion the fall. She then announces that they need to prepare for an attack. Lisara suggests that to fight the Galdablog family they will need more information and power, so they should first meet Lisara's mother and ask her for help. Ryu argues that instead of just hanging around like total idiots, they should just move to the Tour's Solo castle to save Mina. Lisara, annoyed at the perverted loner, points out that if they are not careful, they will end up being uninstalled from life without getting a chance to save Mina. Ryu ignores Lisara's concern and flexes that he isn't afraid of Galdablogs, as Ryu is the hero who has awakened the legendary sword. Graham. Ryu takes off towards the castle, screaming that he will eat Galdablog's butt. Meanwhile, at the castle, Mina wakes up and finds herself in a completely different dimension. As she is getting accustomed to her surroundings, she hears a voice. She turns around to find the king of Galablog behind her. The king speaks up that the world must be returned to its rightful state, stating that the royal family has fallen. He continues that the human world and Grimwald must be returned to their proper forms, and to be able to achieve that goal he needs that heirloom of the royal family, i.e., the gram that was stored in the human world. Mina's eyes widen as she realizes the king is talking about Ryu's gram. Right then, the door opens, and some weird-looking guards inform the king that they have detected the gram's signature. The king, satisfied that his plan to lure Ryu worked, orders the guards to intercept Ryu. In the meantime, Ryu and his side chicks battle the monsters of Grimwald. Lisara exclaims that the monsters keep coming. Quell agrees, suggesting that they should regroup as Lisara suggested earlier. Ryu insists that if they have to rescue Mina they will have to do it now. With that, Ryu prepares to attack the monsters, imagining all the plumpy cheeks he will get to clap afterward. But his plan fails as he gets heated into the air by the monster. Ryu defends himself using his sword and manages to uninstall one of the enemies, but within a second finds himself cornered by more monsters. Ryu, surprised, asks Lisara if the monsters are not scared to get deleted. Lisara, whilst defending Ryu, states that the monsters don't feel pain and are designed in a way that they will do whatever it takes to accomplish their mission. Right then, a monster attacks Quell. Ryu tries to rescue Quell but once again finds himself surrounded. As the monster prepares to attack, Iria appears and deletes the monster. Lisara looks at Iria, surprised to see her making an appearance. Iria exclaims, stating that it's funny that she considers Lisara as her rival, who is unable to handle such a small monster. Ouch, burn. Later, Ryu wakes up and finds himself at Lisara's house. The perverted loser fixates his eyes on Lisara's mother, Amelia's huge plots. Ryu asks Quell if she is feeling better. Quell reassures him that she has regained her energy using the energy sources in the Restall house. Amelia orders her slave girls to heal Ryu. Both the slave girls start rubbing their hot kawaii bodies onto Ryu, making his schlong shift in his pants. Being a dumbass as he is, Ryu tells them to stop midway and blurts out that he is fine and doesn't need any belly riding sessions. Later, while taking a bath, Lisara informs Quell that she will pair up with Iria and use the information Iria has to infiltrate the Tour's Solo. She continues that if she takes Ryu with herself it will be like handing the gram over to the enemies, therefore she should go alone. Quell points out that taking down Galdablog is a tough job. Lisara reassures that she will talk to the Restall army to back her up, and if in case the plan does not work out, she will have Quell to back her up. After Lisara leaves, she meets with Iria. On the other end, Mina sulks, recalling her awkward conversation with Ryou where she confessed her love for him but he rejected her. Later at night, Quell sneaks inside Ryou's room. Ryou, confused, asks why she's up so late. Quell, instead of answering, takes off her clothes and straddles Ryou, tries to smooch him, but the hopeless man denies it, determined to stay lonely for life. Quell, being high on heat, insists that she will heal him and kisses him forcefully. Ryou tries to push Quell off of him and tells her that he won't be able to clap her cheeks because he does not feel like it. Quell, hearing this, throws a tantrum, stating that it is important for him to clap her cheeks and regain his energy or else Lisara will get deleted. This shocks Ryou when he realizes that Lisara is on her way to rescue Mina while he is sulking. Meanwhile, Lisara and Iria make their way towards the castle. Iria gets a call from Galdablog, who asks her if Lisara is planning the attack alone. Iria responds that Lisara is alone and Ryou is currently residing with the Restall family. Galdablog sighs, saying that it will be a bother to get hold of Ryou if he is residing with the Restall family. Galdablog continues that Lisara must revoke her contact with Ryou, and for that, Iria is supposed to lead her to the designated point as planned. Lisara calls out to Iria and tells her that to reach the tour's Solal castle, they will have to cut through the forest and meet up with the Restall army. As they take off running through the forest, Iria asks Lisara if she is sure that the Restall army is this way. As they run through the forest, Lisara ignores Iria's question and instead asks if she remembers training there together. Iria recalls how they used to battle monsters and practice magic in the forest but asks Lisara why she is bringing it up all of a sudden. Lisara states that the forest was the place where she used Disrad for the first time and that she made it to the top of the practice because of Iria. Back at the Restall residence, Ryou looks at Quell and realizes that Quell was letting him clap her just to save her sister. Ryou then gets up, his schlong comes back to life, and he states that he will do whatever it takes to help Lisara. Meanwhile, Lisara reaches the Restall army. The army general denies the plan of infiltrating the tour's Solal castle. Lisara convinces the general that Iria has a secret route and begs him to help her out.
わかりました。ならば陽動作戦といきましょう。
The general, being a simp, gives in and orders his army to create a diversion to create an opportunity for Lisara and Iria to sneak in. On the other end, while the Restall army is moving towards the castle, Mina tries to escape from the window thinking that if she doesn't escape, Ryou will come save her and get in trouble. When the Baldablog guards inform the king that the Restall army is attacking the castle, the king orders the guards to give the Restall army a warm welcome. Both armies start the battle, crushing each other. On the other hand, Lisara and Iria make their way to the castle. One of the soldiers of the Restall army shoots directly at the castle, which results in Mina falling from the castle. While Mina is accelerating down, she thinks if she is going to get deleted without getting her cheeks clapped by Ryou. She imagines Ryou, and suddenly, a huge bright bubble emerges and engulfs her, making everything glow brighter and blinding everyone in Grimwald. Ryou and Quell watch the bright bubble glowing, wondering what's causing such an immense energy. Iria and Lisara suddenly stop, mesmerized by the sudden burst of energy. Iria gets off and uses her powers to sneak into the castle. In the castle, the king gets informed by the guards that Mina has escaped. He orders the guards to go capture her before she meets up with her fellows. Back at the Restall residence, Ryou and Quell try to escape the manor, but are instead stopped by Amelia. Quell gets cornered by Amelia's slaves for defying Amelia's orders. Ryou tries to argue with Amelia that he needs to go help Lisara. Amelia points out that the only reason Galdablog is after them is to get their hands on the sword, which is why Ryou needs to stay put instead of falling into the trap. Ryou argues that he cannot sit behind and wait for Lisara to get hurt. He continues that he has to go and protect Lisara. Amelia sighs and informs Ryou that Lisara serves the royal family and that she is prepared to take the risk. She explains Ryou that being an heir to the Restall family requires upholding the grand name. Amelia continues that Ryou needs to stay safe so that Lisara's mission does not go to waste. When Lisara and Iria reach the castle, Lisara sprints to save Mina but instead finds herself surrounded by the monsters. She turns to Iria, asking in hopes of help but realizes that Iria backstabbed her. Lisara gets trapped by the monsters and all her energy gets drained. Iria hears Lisara screaming but thinks to herself that Lisara trusted Iria blindly, which makes her unfit to run the whole empire. But then she recalls her conversation with Lisara whilst they were running through the forest, and her heart softens. On the other hand, Ryou informs Amelia that he was able to gain his powers because of Lisara. He continues that if he is by Lisara's side and if he protects Lisara, the Gram will respond to that, and only then will he be able to unlock the Gram's true potential. Suddenly, his chest starts glowing bright, and he takes out the Gram. As soon as he does that, Quell comes flying and helps him get away from the clingy MILF. At the castle, Iria rescues Lisara, and they both battle with the monsters eating them here and there. Galdeblog guards drag Mina towards Galdeblog. They inform Galdeblog that they found Mina wandering around the lake. Galdeblog, without wasting a second, approaches Mina and questions her about the sudden burst of her energy. Mina looks at him utterly confused. Mina starts feeling very scared and recalls her moments with Ryou to calm her nerves down. Right then, a glow of energy starts surrounding her. Galdeblog realizes that the energy Mina is cultivating is due to her emotions and feelings. As he is making his inspection, Lisara interrupts and stops him. Galdeblog orders his guards to capture Lisara and shred her into little pieces. He then summons his gigantic cursed centipede-like blade, Teofinger, which seems like a cheap Christmas decoration glowing in green. Lisara summons her Kelnoon prattle to battle with Galdeblog. Lisara cultivates energy and attacks Galdeblog, who in turn blocks Lisara's attack effortlessly. Galdeblog grabs Mina and informs Lisara that he will restore the order of Grimwold World by using the power of the One. Lisara looks at him confused, and then her eyes follow Mina, and she realizes that Mina is the chosen one who Lisara was searching for. Lisara mentally slaps herself for not being able to realize that Mina is the chosen one. Galdeblog tries to capture Mina's energy, making the entire castle glow like a disco ball. As Galdeblog tries to gain the energy, a force stops him. Jolting backwards, Galdeblog notices Cellier's family crest. Lisara smirks and explains that Mina is in a contract with Quell, and unless the contract with Quell is broken, no one can capture Mina's energy. Galdeblog brushes it off, stating it's not a problem since he will capture Quell as well and ultimately break the provisional contract between the two. He then looks at Lisara and questions if she is ready to break her contract with Ryou and hand over Galdeblog the Gram. Lisara screams she will not hand over Ryou and, with that, attacks Galdeblog. Galdeblog blocks the attack and launches his attack, throwing Lisara across the hall. Lisara tries to attack Galdeblog again, but Galdeblog uses his cursed blade to completely overpower Lisara, swallowing all of her energy and leaving her bare. Lying there in the hall helpless, Lisara stares at the ceiling, her face blank. She thinks to herself that it is all over and Galdeblog is just too powerful for her to take down. Galdeblog interrupts Lisara's thoughts and states that once the cursed blade is unsheathed, it will simply not rest until it is given a sacrifice. Galdeblog raises his sword ready to strike Lisara, but Ryu's distant voice stops him. Ryou yells and asks Lisara to hold herself together. He has come to rescue her. Galdeblog looks up and smirks, murmuring to himself that the Gram has come to Galdeblog. You jump straight inside the hall. Lisara scolds him for leaving the Ristal Manor. Ignoring Lisara's yapping, Galdeblog summons the cursed blade once again, launching an attack on Ryou, but Ryou uses the Gram to defend himself, and a sudden burst of energy erupts. When Lisara opens her eyes, she realizes that Galdeblog's attack missed Ryou. Ryou explains to Galdeblog that when Grimwold is in peril, the Gram becomes the chosen one, and with the powers bestowed upon the sword can eliminate all sorts of evil. Galdeblog scoffs, dismissing Ryu's claims, and launches another attack. Galdeblog uses his cursed blade to surround Ryou and attack him from all sides. Ryou tries to dodge the attack but fails miserably. Lisara runs to Ryu's side, trying to help him up. Ryou states that Galdeblog is way too powerful. Galdeblog, after destroying Ryu's entire strength, walks up to his chair and sighs. He states that even though the cursed sword is so powerful, it still was not able to open the gate, which made Galdeblog search for the Gram and the chosen one. Galdeblog continues that if Ryou still thinks that the Gram slays evil and that's the sole purpose for it, then he should keep on trying. Galdeblog continues challenging Ryou, stating that in the new era of Grimwold World, Galdeblog is the only one who can serve justice, and therefore Ryou can use all his means to bring Galdeblog down. Lisara, hearing all this, tries to knock some sense into Ryou, reminding him that Ryou has got nothing to do with the Grimwold World and that he should walk away. She urges him to stop this nonsense as if she did not drag him into this mess. Ryou looks at Lisara and tells her that he has come this far and now he will not back off. He holds Lisara's hands and his eyes drop to Lisara's kawaii plots. Without wasting a second, Ryou hugs Lisara, reassuring her that he will be okay. Ryou then gets up and yells at Galdeblog that the battle has begun. Galdeblog laughs and swings his sword, ready to battle. Meanwhile, Ryou keeps on recalling his interactions with Lisara to upgrade his energy. As soon as Ryou attacks Galdeblog, Galdeblog falls back. Ryou smirks and then continues using his imagination to cultivate energy to defeat Galdeblog. Ryou then points his sword towards Galdeblog and cultivates huge levels of energy, shooting it directly at Galdeblog, forcing him to the wall. Galdeblog loses his cursed sword and accepts defeat. Galdeblog, in a broken voice, says thanks to Ryou. Galdeblog's eyes fill up as he states that he loves humans and he is proud that a human was able to defeat him. Ryou looks at Galdeblog, confused. Galdeblog explains that the royal family was supposed to keep the number of humans in check to maximize their happiness. Galdeblog continues that the royal family pitied the humans so much that instead of keeping their numbers in check, they started extending the lives of humans who were destined to die, which caused the disorder in the world. Galdeblog adds that because of the royal family's negligence, the Grimwald world faced energy shortage, and the human world faced famine and war, leading both worlds to eternal doom. Galdeblog falls face first on the ground as he states that the disorder led him to decide that the border between the human world and Grimwald world should be destroyed so that the human world population can be controlled. With that, Galdeblog praises Ryou for finally opening the gate. Ryou realizes that he has been massively used by the Galdeblog for his benefit, and he has caused more harm than good. Ryou wakes up and finds himself in his bed with his dog Caesar looking at him intently. Ryou starts messing around with his dog, and suddenly his eyes fall on Mina. He looks at Mina, who screams in shock and rushes towards Ryou, hugging him. Hearing Mina scream, both Lisara and Quell rush up to Ryu's room, and their eyes widen in surprise. Mina informs Ryou that he was passed out for a whole week after his battle with Galdeblog. Quell adds that all three of them were very worried for him. Lisara looks up and states that whilst battling with Galdeblog, Ryou unleashed so much of the Gram's energy that he lost his energy temporarily. Ryou recalls the battle and his conversation with Galdeblog. He musters up courage and asks the girls what had happened after the fight. Lisara says that there was some chaos for a while, but the Ristal army was able to control the situation. Ryou starts getting embarrassed, murmuring that it is all his fault. Quell breaks the chain of Ryu's thoughts and tells him to not get worried about any of that. Quell continues that if Ryou had not defeated the madman Aka Galdeblog, then the situation would have been a lot worse. Mina chimes in, exclaiming that Ryou practically saved the world. She adds that Ryou should be proud of himself. As soon as the lonely nobody starts flexing his victory, Lisara states that things are not over yet. She reminds Ryou that he only has 2 weeks left to live. Later, while sulking in his room, Ryou recalls the whole conversation about him having only 2 weeks to live. He contemplates whether he will be able to survive or not. His chain of thoughts is broken when one of the girls calls out to him so that he can have his dinner. As he is about to get out of bed, Quell and Lisara enter his room, carrying a pot of rice porridge while dressed in kawaii aprons. Ryu's mouth starts watering as he sees both the girls dressed to arouse him. Lisara points out that Ryou should not imagine anything dirty, as they are only dressed to make him happy mentally, not physically. To prove her point, Lisara lifts her apron and shows Ryou that she is wearing her knickers. Ryou looks at her knickers, his schlong getting excited. Right then Iria enters the room and scoffs that Lisara still does not understand boys. Lisara looks at Iria, happy to see her safe. Iria takes a seat, her huge plots jiggling as she gets comfortable. Iria sighs, stating that there were way too many troubles on the way. She exclaims that the trains are not working and the phone services are not functioning either. Ryou looks at Iria, confused, but before he can question her, Quell and Lisara drag Iria out of Ryu's room. The girls then inform Iria that they have kept Ryou in the dark regarding the current situation. Lisara asks Iria to go back home so that things don't get complicated. Iria looks at Lisara embarrassed and informs her that she cannot go back as she has nowhere to go. Meanwhile, Ryou asks Mina for her phone and computer. Mina looks at Ryou and informs him that she accidentally threw Ryu's phone and computer into the laundry. Ryou looks at the slow brat and wonders what the hell is wrong with her. Later, Iria asks Ryou if she can reside with him as she has been kicked out of her apartment. Ryou agrees and then asks the girls about his missing TV. Lisara states that because they were all out of money, she decided to sell the TV for some cash. Ryou throws a tantrum and decides to use the nearby net cafe. The girls try to stop him but fail. Iria, being the smartest, suggests that they all should play cards, and whoever loses will take off a piece of their clothing. Ryou suddenly changes his mind and decides to stay back with the girls and play cards. Later in the evening, Dalnia makes an entry and informs Ryou about all the horrible things happening to the humans. Ryou, shocked, confronts the girls about the events. The girls try to cover up the events but fail miserably. Ryou starts blaming himself for the horrible things happening worldwide. He asks Lisara to accompany him so that he can fight alongside Ristal's army, but Dalnia intervenes and reminds him that he has used all of his energy and, therefore, can do absolutely nothing to protect the human world. As the night falls, Iria urges Lisara to confess her feelings for Ryou because he has only 2 weeks left. Meanwhile, Ryou sulks and watches the news, contemplating what he has done. He recalls Galdeblog's words and decides to self-delete himself. Lisara finds Ryou sulking and tries to tell him that she will save his life. Ryou confesses his feelings for Lisara, but Lisara tells him that she will make sure that Ryou accepts Mina so that his life can be saved using her energy. Later in the week, while Ryou is sulking in his house, his mom comes back home. As soon as Ryu's mom's eyes fall on Ryu lying on the couch, she assumes that Ryu has been uninstalled, but then she hears a shuffle and realizes that Ryu is alive. Ryu looks at his mother confused. Ryu's mother hears some footsteps and turns around to find Mina and the other girls standing in the doorway. After making Ryu's mother comfortable, the girls narrate all the events to her and inform her that Ryu's life is on edge and they are all counting on Mina to save his life. While preparing the dinner, Ryu's mother recalls the day when she got stabbed and the sword straightaway went inside her womb. She sighs, saying that the man who stabbed her was indeed telling her the truth. She then looks at Ryu and tells him that since everyone is trying to save him, she believes he will be okay. As soon as Ryu leaves the kitchen, Dalnia enters, ready to manipulate the old hag. Meanwhile, Lisara prepares Ryu for his date with Mina. On the other hand, Quell and Iria help Mina get ready. As Ryu's date with Mina begins, Quell uses her magical power to create a situation so that Ryu can get comfortable with Mina. At Ryu's residence, Dalnia informs Ryu's mother that no one will be able to save Ryu as the time to get uninstalled from the world is decided at the time of birth. Ryu's mother asks Dalnia to extend Ryu's lifespan, but Dalnia denies it, stating that it is impossible to do so. She explains that Ryu's soul will be converted into energy and will be consumed by the Grim Whale world and will never return. Dalnia further adds that the girls' attempts will fail. Ryu's mother, however, calmly states that as a researcher, she knows no phenomenon is ever certain, and therefore, she believes that the girls might have a slight chance of winning and succeeding. Dalnia looks at Ryu's mother, her face turning green, realizing that her manipulation skills are as bad as her hair. Meanwhile, Ryu takes Mina to the cinema for their date. As they seat themselves in the empty cinema hall, Mina questions the movie, stating that it's not the kind of movie they have ever watched. Ryu tells her that they should watch the movie. Ryu does not pay attention to Mina throughout. They then wander around the city, exploring different places to make their date interesting. Lisara, Quell, and Iria watch the couple eating ice cream together and remark on how beautiful they both look together. Lisara looks at them intently and then announces that since the date is successful, there is no point in her staying and decides to leave. After finishing their ice cream, Ryu takes Mina shopping and gives her a pink dress to try on. When she changes, he can't help but stare as her curves strain against the fabric, making his black mamba excited for the action. As the date nears its end, Mina confesses her feelings to Ryu, and a massive energy ball starts to form around them. Hopeful that he won't reject her again, she asks if he feels the same way. Ryu, however, looks at her and rejects her once more. Hearing this, Quell and Irina rush home to spill the news to Lisara. As they enter Lisara's room, they find her crying. Lisara wipes off her tears and asks them how the date went. The girls inform her that Ryu rejected Mina. Angry at Ryu, Lisara rushes and corners him. She questions him on why he rejected Mina. Ryu simply responds that the only cheeks he wants to clap are Lisara's. Lisara argues with him, reminding him that he won't survive. But Ryu calmly explains that he cannot have the same feelings for Mina as he has for Lisara. Lisara's eyes fill up with tears as she begs Ryu that he needs to accept Mina so that he can live. Ryu looks at her and calmly tells her that he does not want to live. With that, his energy level drains and he falls to the ground and gets uninstalled from life. Lisara stares at the lifeless body of Ryu and cries, thinking about the time she spent with him. All the girls and Ryu's mother surround Ryu's lifeless body, crying helplessly. Dalnia makes her way to Ryu's room and informs them that it is time for her to take Ryu with him. Ryu's mother begs her to at least wait for the funeral, but Dalnia refuses, being the insensitive Karen that she is. Lisara asks Dalnia for at least one day, but Dalnia refuses and walks up to Ryu's bed. Lisara rushes to get Dalnia off of Ryu's bed, but Dalnia uses her powers to create a wall between Ryu's bed and Lisara, making Lisara fall back. Dalnia then uses her magic and teleports Ryu into a different dimension, ready to take all his energy. As Dalnia uses her anchor to draw out Ryu's energy, she feels a jolt and her anchor is thrown right out. Once again, she takes an L. She comes back to the human world and informs the girls and Ryu's mother that the gram is still inside Ryu's body, which is why the soul is not separating from the body. She then asks Lisara to take the gram out because tearing Ryu apart in front of his mother would be grotesque. Lisara walks up to Dalnia and drops to her knees, asking her to give them a little more time with Ryu. Dalnia instead binds Lisara and attempts to take out the gram herself. Iria, however, tackles Dalnia down, throwing her out of the window and battling her. Dalnia begins her dull lecture on how Ryu chose to self-delete and why they should respect his decision. But as she speaks, a sudden burst of energy erupts, and she realizes that the power of the One has been activated. Iria suddenly gets teleported and she finds herself with the rest of the girls. Mina explains that an email from Ryu arrived late where he stated that he will always cherish Mina's friendship. Lisara walks the girls through the plan, stating that she will detach her soul from her body, and then, by using the power of the On, she will retrieve Ryu's soul. Ryu's mother asks Lisara if the plan will work. Lisara states that she is not sure, but she will still do it. With that, Quell takes her sword out of Emna's chest and hands it over to Lisara. Lisara then, without wasting a second, stabs herself with the sword, making it disappear inside her body. As soon as the sword disappears, Lisara falls unconscious. Galney the annoying brat appears again and reminds them that as soon as their plan fails, she will act and take Ryu's soul with her. She adds that it won't be long before the results will appear. Iria asks her what she means by that. Dalnia smirks and responds that after prolonged separation from the body, a soul may not be able to return. In the spirit realm, Lisara floats around and starts looking for Ryou. She calls out for Ryou, screaming his name. Ryou opens his eyes upon hearing his name, and he finds himself in the spirit realm. He realizes that Lisara is calling him, which means she has traveled to the spirit world. He looks at Lisara and tells her to return, but Lisara refuses, insistent to take Ryou with herself. Ryou tells her that he is not a good person, but Lisara shuts him up and tells him that it's her time to speak now. She confesses her feelings for Ryou and tells him that she could not confess her feelings earlier because she had to make sure that Mina's energy worked. Ryou tries to argue, but Lisara shuts him up again by kissing him. With that, Lisara wakes up and finds herself back in Ryu's room. She gets up and turns to see Ryou looking at her. Lisara rushes to Ryou and hugs him. Ryou holds Lisara tight and promises her that he will never let anything happen to her. With that, Ryou cultivates a similar energy as the Chosen One. Dalnia, seeing all this, comes up with a theory that happiness causes a huge increase in a human's energy, and by keeping them happy they can have a huge turnover of energy. Later, Lisara and Ryou start living together, but their endless bickering continues, and somehow Ryou gets even more hopeless. That concludes the anime recap. As always, if you enjoyed, let me know down below, and I'm out.